In this presentation, I'm going to give a brief summary of the tales of Theseus, Daedalus, and Castor and Pollux. I'm going to be discussing how these tales and their themes are seen throughout modern art forms. Theseus was the son of Agnes and Erytha. He was brought up at Troezen, and when he arrived at manhood, he was to proceed to Athens and present himself to his father. Aeneas ordered his son not to see him until he was strong enough to roll the stone to which his sword and shoes were under. Theseus moved the stone and had to head home to his father. Theseus chose to take the more dangerous way home to Athens, for he thought he was like Hercules. Theseus faced many troubles on his way home, but was victorious in all of his battles. By the time he reached Athens, he was known as a hero. Upon Theseus' arrival home, he found out that Medea the sorcerer had left Jason and is now with Aegeus. Medea feared that Theseus' homecoming would take away the influence she had on Aegeus. Medea was able to hypnotize Aegeus when he arrived, but when Theseus arrived, his father recognized the sword right away before he could hypnotize him. Medea fled in fear of punishment. Aegeus then declared Theseus his successor. Theseus was victorious in all of his battles on the way home. By the time he reached Athens, he was known as a hero. Upon Theseus' arrival home, he found out that Medea the sorcerer had left Jason and is now with Aegeus. In fear that Theseus' homecoming would take away the influence she had over Aegeus, Medea was able to hypnotize Aegeus into poisoning Theseus when he arrived. Although, when Theseus arrived, his father recognized the sword right away and therefore didn't poison Theseus. Medea fled in fear of the punishment, and Aegeus then declared Theseus his successor. Because of a past wrong, Athens is forced to ship off young people to Crete every few years. There, boys and girls are devoured by the man-eating Minotaur, a monster with the head of a bull and the body of a man. Theseus, prince of Athens, decided to put a stop to this and sailed off to slay the beast. He promised his father, King Aegeus, that he'll change the black sail of the ship to white on his return journey to show that he survived. Theseus managed to slay the Minotaur with the help of the beautiful Cretan princess Ariadne. As Theseus approached Athens, he's so full of himself that he forgets to change the sail of his ship to white. When Aegeus sees the black sail ship approaching, he assumes that Theseus is dead and drowns himself in the sea. Theseus becomes king of Athens. The first picture is Theseus and Athra by Laurent de la Harre. The second picture is Theseus slaying Minotaur. The bronze sculptures by Antoine Louis Barré. The third picture is the deeds of Theseus on an Attic red-figured kylix. The themes of the tale of Theseus are also used in operas, films, and television. Theseus is an early French opera by Jean Lully, based on Ovid. Theseus is also played by Tom Hardy in the 2006 film Minotaur. The first episode of the 2001 children's television series Myth Quest, called Minotaur, features a story where the modern-day teenage protagonist finds himself thrown into Theseus' role and has to follow through with the events of the existing myth, which includes slaying the Minotaur. The Indian film Ship of Theseus, directed by Anand Gandhi, is an exploration of the philosophical idea underlying the myth. The themes and characters are also seen through modern literature. Sophocles' tragedy Oedipus at Colonus features Theseus as a major character. Theseus is a prominent character at the Dukes of Athens in William Shakespeare's plays, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and The Two Noble Kingsmen. Here are some modern art picks that represent the tales of Theseus. Theseus with the head of the Minotaur, and Theseus saves Hippodamia work by Joan Hannes Pfuel in Athens. Daedalus built a Lambros for King Minos, but afterwards lost the favor of the king and was shut up in a tower. He wanted to escape. He could not escape by sea, so he decided to try by air. He began to construct wings for he and his son, Icarus. Once the wings were finished, they put them on and set off. His father gave him strict instructions so that he could arrive home safely. Icarus forgives his father's warning and started to fly higher. He got too close to his son. The heat softened the wax, and his wings fell apart. Icarus begins to fall. His father tries to save him, but Icarus drowns. The first picture, Daedalus constructs the wings for his son Icarus. The second picture is of Daedalus and Icarus. And the third one is a landscape with the fall of Icarus by Peter Bruegel the Elder. Right here is another picture of Daedalus and Icarus. And here's a small bronze sculpture of Daedalus. The tale of Castor and Pollux. Castor and Pollux were the offspring of Leda and Swan. Castor was famous for taming and Pollux for boxing. They accompanied the Argonautic expedition. A storm arose, and when it calmed, stars appeared on the heads of the brothers. They then came to be considered the patron deities of seamen and voyagers. After the Argonautic expedition, Castor and Pollux engaged in a war with Idas and Leucus. Castor was killed. Pollux begged Jupiter to let him share his immortality with his brother. The Dioscuri and are they then placed in the stars, where they shine together as the constellation Gemini. And then here is a picture of Pollux or Castor. Here's a pair of the Roman statuettes depicting the Dioscuri as horsemen with the characteristics of skullcaps. And the last picture is fragmentary remains of the temple of Castor and Pollux in Rome. In the Hunger Games, Castor and Pollux are brothers who made up Cressida's camera crew from the capital. In the myth, as is Mockingjay, Castor was killed while Pollux lived on alone.